Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here to hear our stories. And I was thinking as I was hearing the stories, because I didn't really prepare where I was going to start or where I was going to finish, so I'm just going to go based on the time I've been given. So my story is a little different than the speakers before me. Some things similar, some things very different. I come from the life of what the dunya brings you when you think the dunya is what is most important. I come from being a celebrity personal trainer and nutritionist, traveling around the world, training professional athletes, celebrities, notable people behind the scenes, being in Miami, Las Vegas, and Hollywood. And that life was filled with a lot of great things at the time. There is not any party in the Hamptons or in Vegas or in LA that I hadn't been to. There wasn't a magazine I wasn't in. There wasn't a celebrity or a rapper or a professional athlete that I didn't know or associate with. But with all that said, at the end of the day, even though I was born and raised Catholic from a Puerto Rican family, but not so traditional because I was raised in an Italian neighborhood. So I was like the only Puerto Rican girl in the Italian neighborhood. And I'm from Brooklyn, so if you could tell a little bit by my accent. But nonetheless, I was also a national level fitness competitor. So a fellow competitor, a guy, happened to be Lebanese and was Muslim. So we're both competing at the national level. I mean, he's competing in the small attire that they wear, and I'm in my bikini. And he decides to, at some point, tell me, you have to change your ways. You have to change how you dress. I said, but wait a minute. You wear the same thing I'm wearing. We're both competing. What are you talking about? You do the same thing I do. What's so different? And of course, being a feminist like Lisa, I was like, no, women can compete just like men do. So he gives me the Quran. And I was like, okay. But he did it in such a forceful way that it reminded me of something that I'd seen from born-again Christians, which my father is actually a born-again Christian pastor in Orlando, Florida, as we speak. And my mother is still somewhat Catholic. So I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I read like a page or two, and I put it on the shelf. And that was back in like 1998. So the years are going by. Again, I'm traveling the world. And in my work, it was put to me to make a trip to Malaysia. But it was 8 months after 9/11. So they asked me, would you feel uncomfortable to travel to Malaysia? I said, well, I don't think in my mind I'll ever get to go to Asia or Malaysia or anywhere like that again. So I'm not going to say no. So here I go. First I went to Hong Kong, then I went to Malaysia. And when I got there, I was like, wow, there's so many Muslims. I thought they were Asian. I didn't know. So, and it just so happened that it happened to be Ramadan. It was November of 2002. So I'm doing my circuit that I had to do because I was a presenter at the collegiate level and also on the international level. So I had to present at Kuala Lumpur's Islamic University. I didn't know it was an Islamic university. So I get up in front of all the faculty, the professors, all the physiology department, the anatomy, all the exercise physiologists are there staring at me, and they're all men. So there's like maybe 2 women. I had to go off of my lecture for about 45 minutes to prove myself because I didn't look like the typical American. I wasn't blonde hair, blue-eyed. And they just were like, okay, we got to make sure you know what you're talking about. And it was just so interesting because the people had this tranquility to them. But it didn't really hit me. So I go back to my hotel after my lecture, and I noticed, I was like, why is it so quiet? Where is everybody? It's only like 5 o'clock. So my hotel was connected to a large mall. And then I said, oh, let me go to the mall. They told me the mall was going to be open late. So I go to the mall. All of a sudden, I don't know, it's 7, 8 o'clock. this stream of people came from everywhere. It was the middle of Ramadan, so it was after iftar. So after iftar, everyone was everywhere. There were Muslims everywhere. I was like, wow, subhanallah. I didn't say subhanallah at the time. I said, subhanallah, wow. And everybody's covered up. Okay, this is cool. So that was in 2002. That just stayed at the back of my mind. So now we're gonna flash forward to 2005. I'm now a competitive triathlete and biathlete, which I was at that time the best shape of my life, and I was preparing for that. This was in September of 2005. The following week, I was preparing for a pretty big biathlon in Long Island. And I was driving to my nutrition office in Howard Beach, Queens, and I had just recently gotten my first SUV. So I thought it was cool. I was driving on the highway. And apparently, maybe somebody had a blowout of a tire or something. There was debris in front of me. So just as I thought, I'm in an SUV, I can just kind of veer around it, no problem. I go like that, and all of a sudden, I start to skid into the grass. So I said, I'm in an SUV. It's no problem. I'll just get back on the road. Oh no, in a millisecond, the car started to flip. And I flipped across what's called the Belt Parkway. From one side of the Belt Parkway to the other side, I flipped 5 times and landed on the opposite side of traffic that goes back towards Manhattan, New York. Subhanallah, it was a very surreal millisecond, similar, different to Sister Amani. I opened my eyes. I don't know if I was unconscious or the paramedic that was driving, watching my car flip, touched my face, but no car hit me, subhanallah. By the grace of Allah, I am standing here to even tell this story. And I was rushed to a hospital in Brooklyn, Lutheran, and all I could think is, oh, my clients, I'm in the ambulance. I was about to see some nutrition clients later in the afternoon. I had more clients. I made the lady in the ambulance, I said, if you do not give me my cell phone so I can call my clients, you will have to get me, I will not go in this ambulance. So I'm like with the gas, the oxygen, telling my client, excuse me, I'm not gonna make it, I got into a car accident. My dedication to what I do of helping people, women and men at the time, that is the soul that I have always breathed. That's the breath within me. That is the soul that I am. So that was the most important thing to me at that time. So I get to the hospital, and apparently there might be blood on my brain. Uh-oh, that's a problem. They stick me in ICU. So at this point, my friends get a hold of my mom and my brother. They're like flying from the Bronx to get to the hospital. And alhamdulillah, the blood in the brain, or what they thought they saw, the swelling went down, so it was fine. But I was admitted because I had a massive concussion. With that type of accident, most people don't even make it. I just had a little cuts on my elbow, and I had a nice little gash on my head because of the seatbelt. My head was banging into the seatbelt as the car was flipping. So as the weekend passed, on Monday, the administrator of the entire hospital comes to my bedside. Now, apparently he doesn't come and visit patients. So he said to me, this is off the record, I just wanted to come and see the person that survived this accident, because most people come into this hospital with a quarter of this accident and don't make it. So I wanted to see who it was. And he said to me, again, off the record, I don't know what you believe in, but whatever it is, if you believe in God, you find out what God has planned for you, and you go and you do it. Now, that was 2005, so that kind of stayed there. Didn't really do anything with it. I continued with my dunya, fast life, Hollywood, Vegas, you know, that scene like you see it on television, all the flash. And now we fast forward to 2009. So I'm flying back from a business trip in Los Angeles, and I had to get to a wedding, a Catholic wedding, and it was March of 2009. I landed in John F. Kennedy Airport, raced to the church in Queens because it was my good friend and client getting married, and she was not gonna walk down the aisle until she saw her personal trainer because we'd worked so hard to get her in the best shape of her life, alhamdulillah. Anyway, so I get there, and I watch the Mass. I can recite the Catholic Mass like if it was part of breathing. And in some moment, watching her get married, I said, I no longer want to be Catholic. I didn't know why. Maybe because I just didn't have that connection in that Mass. I just felt so disconnected from God. That's all I did know. I said, I don't want to be Catholic anymore. There's something lacking, and it's my connection with God. Now, when I walked out, I did know I didn't want to be Jewish, because I knew that process was just way too long. I read about that. I was like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, they're never going to let me in, not with my past. So, living in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, a very heavily diverse community, and probably the largest Arab American community in New York City, I had a lot of friends, Palestinian American, Egyptian American. So I was around a lot of people that were Muslim, were practicing Muslims, and basically, thank you. I called up the closest family I was closest to, an Egyptian American family, and may Allah preserve them and raise them in rank for what they've done for me. I called them up because I was like, I think I want to take my Shahada. Well, before I said that, I actually Googled it, how to become a Muslim. That's it? That's all you have to do? You just have to say that? That's it? Wow. And then I called the Monem family and said, you know what? I think I want to take my Shahada. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, la 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 la. They rushed me to the local masjid in Bay Ridge, Musab, and at the time there was a library next door. I mean, I walked out with books like this. And I said to myself, I know I'm not going to read any of this. So what I knew was in my heart. It wasn't going to be on books. So I got the Quran in every possible translation, transliteration, Arabic, English, every combination, a book of Sirah. And of course, what do they tell you? Read. Read. This is what they tried to tell me to do the first time. So of course, okay, I read 1-2 pages, put that to the side. So this was March. But in my heart, I had already didn't know what aniya or intention was, but I made the intention that I knew for 2009, I wanted to fast for Ramadan and I wanted to be Muslim. I didn't know how I was going to get to that point, but I knew that aniya was already there. Okay, so again, back to the flash, Las Vegas, LA, Miami. So now we're in June of 2009. So we're getting close to Ramadan, which was now going to be at the end of August. So I come back from a trip to LA, and my car was parked in long-term parking. So I'm walking, got my luggage. Subhanallah, as I'm standing here, whoosh, the khushu' just entered in my heart. I was ready for my shahada. I don't know how, I don't know what. The qadr of Allah, the khushu', subhanallah, it just entered my heart. I knew I was ready at that moment. I don't know where it came from. It's as if it was an information that was in my brain already there. So on the drive back to Bay Ridge, I called the Monem family again. I'm ready to take my shahada. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Okay, here's what we're going to do. On Friday, we're going to go to the masjid. You're going to take your shahada, da-da-da-da-da. But, you know, you don't need to do that. You can take it by yourself. Well, lo and behold, whatever happened, you know, they were on Arab Standard Time, and I was on my time. Somehow we missed timing, so I didn't get to go with them to the masjid for Jummah to do my shahada. And I did my shahada by myself with Allah, the angels, and my computer. So now I don't know how to do anything. So me being a very type A, structured person, as everyone who knows me, I was like, oh my God, I need to know what I have to do. I have to do this. So days are going by, it's getting closer to Ramadan. Lo and behold, I didn't learn how to pray till the first day of Ramadan, 2009. I'm with the sheets of paper. Oh, what do I have to do? Alhamdulillah. It took me 3 weeks to memorize my Fatiha. SubhanAllah, it was the most amazing experience. So nonetheless, I said, okay, this is Ramadan. I didn't really have anything to spend it with. My family was kind of on the fence, didn't really know. Since I didn't know anything about Islam, I didn't know what to tell them. So I said, I need to learn. Anyway, after Ramadan, I knew I need to go somewhere to learn. And again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed me with the Mecca Center. That is a school in Manhattan, primarily for converts. And I took the New Muslim program. And subhanAllah, without that, I wouldn't even be able to continue with my story today. I walked in my gym clothes, my regular gym clothes, like the non-Muslim gym clothes, and my teacher, I came in, he said, Brooklyn, where you going like that? I said, uh-oh. Well, and I looked around and I said, oh, I can't come dressed like this. So within a couple of weeks, one of the administrators gave me my first abaya, and that was at the end of October, and January 1st, 2010, I put my hijab on. Alhamdulillah. For me, the biggest struggle has been the manners and behaviors, because I come from Bronx, Brooklyn street life and corporate life. So for me, I don't come from any of these cultures. I don't know too much about any of these cultures. I know how I had to raise myself. I've been on my own since I'm 18, no parents, divorced parents. I raised myself. So I wasn't the shyness, the how you treat a guest, all these things these are the hardest things for me. How to interact with people from other cultures that out the gate treat me differently because I'm not like them. And as a convert, my biggest struggle has been finding a masjid or a community that accepts a Latina convert coming from a different background. I pray 5 times a day at least. I fast, I do dawah, I do charity. I'm not even about to talk about Naduna and all the things I do, but tomorrow I am teaching another class at 10 in the morning for sisters. I teach a lecture called Fiqh of Nutrition, and I'll be doing an exercise class, which is a group personal training class called Fit for Allah, that I've been teaching for over 2 years in Manhattan. And for me, the biggest struggle as a convert is the acceptance by people from other cultures. I'm not Arab, I'm not Pakistani, I'm not this, I'm not that. So I've had to, sometimes during Ramadan, travel 45 minutes to a masjid in New Jersey, where Sister Nahela is from, just to feel I'm home. That is the problem for me. The biggest thing is the being able to mesh into these other cultures. I'm just not from that. But I love Allah just like you do. I love the Rasulullah just like you do. I love all the prophets just like you do. We're not the same, but we are the same. We're here for the same message, and that's to praise and please Allah. Thank you.